Hi Rob, I'm good. How are you?
Very good, very good.
Let me turn my camera on. That's it.
There you are.
Hi.
How's life treating you?
Pretty good.
Oh, good. Hold on,
Yeah,
just
it was relatively hot lately.
they define relatively hot for British Columbia.
Oh, you do Fahrenheit, right? I don't know. Let me check. We had like maybe this. 90?
90. Whoa,
Yeah.
that's warmer than it is here.
Yeah, and we didn't have and we don't have air conditioner, and everything is built from wood, so it keeps the heat in, and it's crazy. Yeah, we had like I think 3 heat waves like that in this past summer. I don't remember anything like that in previous years. We always have like a week or something like that that is hot, but
Yeah,
not like that.
yeah. Well, this is life.
Yeah.
This is life. Yeah, I mean, it's 78 degrees here.
Oh, no, now I think it's nice. Let me see. Whoa, it's even a little bit cool. 17. How much is 17? Oh, this conversion is crazy.
Oh, yeah, you guys use that other numbering system.
63?
Yeah,
That's nice.
yeah.
It's even a little bit cool. But it's going to get warmer in the next few days, but it's going to be very reasonable. It's going to be like around 70, 71 in the next week.
Oh, good.
Which is good. But inland, there are wildfires and they close roads and they evacuate people. It's crazy. Like it happens every year, wildfires and stuff, because inland BC is very hot and dry.
Mhm.
But I don't know, it's just crazy this year.
Yeah, yeah. This has not been a normal year.
No, definitely not. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Yeah, I watched your chat with Jim a few days ago.
Yeah, we deviated off subject a couple times, but that's the way life is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how conversations go.
Yeah, it is. And it's really interesting because when you have a conversation, there's no telling where things may go.
Right. But that's the fun of it.
Well, yeah, exactly.
It makes
Exactly.
things interesting.
And when you're doing just a full-blown presentation, it's like you have your steps, everything is predictable, and at the end you're like, okay, I did good, or I need more work or whatever, but it's all predictable.
Yeah.
So no, I like the conversations better.
Yeah,
So
it has some.
yeah, you made an interesting statement when we were discussing this, that you have an interest in database security, but you're not a database security expert, but you're a great DBA.
Okay.
And you probably have more security knowledge than you're actually realize.
Yeah, I guess so, and maybe I'm not very into or not worked with specific database security features, but the concept of security I understand quite well, and I learn about that a lot. And there's an interesting podcast if you like podcasts. There's one called Security Now.
Yeah.
It's been running for 16 years every week.
Whoa.
Yeah, and it's this guy, Steve Gibson. He's from Southern California, I think. And he's an amazing guy, and he talks to Leo Laporte every week on the network called TWIT, TWIT, This Week in Tech. That's Leo Laporte's network. And Security Now is one of the podcasts there. And it's really interesting. Every week they dive into either some security issue or some technology that they want to dive into. Like this week, they talked about how is it called, the Apple new concept about the kids pornographic photos. Have you heard about that? That Apple is going to moderate that and prevent teens to share inappropriate photos. And there are two different technologies, but they dive into that. At one point, they dove into the technology behind one of the ransomware group. So it's not database technology security, but security in general. It's really interesting. So I'm very into that.
Well, I have a interest in security as a whole, holistically. It's just I'm good at the database.
Yeah.
And as we step away from the database, I tend to tell people I become more and more incompetent. I understand what's going on, but it's difficult as I get away from the database, to talk deep about specific security issues becomes more difficult.
Yeah.
But then when I'm in the database, I'm like, yes, I'm home. I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
And I've always tried to understand the security, and the concept behind it is I'm one of those people, I like things operating smoothly. The gears are moving smoothly together, well greased. You're not smacking your thumb with a hammer. And whenever we start getting that grinding of gears, it drives me crazy. And to me, it's the security aspect that drives me crazy. I read in the newspaper, there was another hack, something else happened. It's like, I go, no. And, what I find absolutely amazing, because I was thinking about it this morning before our talk, most of the places I have ever been engaged, when they install the database, they just install all the options.
Oh yeah, I hate that.
Oh yeah.
And not only security, like it's just junk in the database that no one uses. And then when you upgrade, you have to upgrade everything, and it's just a mess. And then obviously it's a security, more points of entry, right?
Yeah, you're creating a larger attack surface.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a client that they are SOC compliant. So every 3 months, when a patch is released, they need to verify, do we need the patch or not? And if we do, we need to install it. And every time they ask me, is this relevant to us, like the patch? And I take a look at the list. And because I installed the database there and I removed all the features, it's like Java. Oh, no, we don't have Java in the database. Apex. Oh, we don't have Apex in the database. Yeah, we're good. And once in a while, there are like core database vulnerabilities, then we have to install the patch. But if it's only the extra options, I don't care about that because we don't have that installed.
Well, and now on container databases, all the options are installed by default with the exception of database vault and label security. And if you want to back out those options, what you need to do is create a standalone database, okay,
and
without all those options.
Yeah.
And then take that standalone database and plug it into the container database.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't figure this out.
How did I figure this out?
No, I didn't figure this out.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that's just make things harder, more work.
Yeah, because once the option's in there, you can't back it out.
Right. Yeah, and if one of the PDBs needs these options, then they are installed on all of them, probably at the CDB level and down, right?
Yeah, because the CDB level needs all of those options.
Oh, it cannot live without them? Like you cannot install the CDB without these options?
You cannot install the CDB without all those options.
Oh man, okay.
However, what you can do is unlink some of those options.
Yeah. Okay.
Like real application testing. There's no reason that should ever be in a production database. Can you think of a
just
reason?
for the capture? You want to run the capture on the production database,
right?
But not the replay, obviously.
Yeah. So there's a command, and hold on, I was looking it up this morning. CHOPT, change option.
Okay.
All right. Disable, and RAT will relink the binaries, so real application testing is not in there.
Oh, okay. But again, if you need real application testing in one of the PDBs, you have to have that at the CDB. You cannot unlink that, right?
You can't unlink it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm very interested with Java because Java has lots of the vulnerabilities and the attack surface. So Java is probably there as well. It's probably a deep dependency, right? Or not?
I'm looking at the list right now. It's Metalink note, hold on, 948.061.1.
948.0
61.1.
Okay, I wrote that. Future reference. I'll open it later.
You can tell my age. I'm still calling it Metalink.
Yeah, that's okay. It didn't even sound weird to me.
There's probably other people who are either listening to this or are going to listen to this because it's going to be alpha on YouTube that are going to go, "What is Metalink?"
Metalink, yeah. When did they change that? That's like at least 10 years ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, my Oracle support if people still don't get it.
Yeah, but still, if you Google Metalink, it still comes
there. It's probably somewhere on the pages or something.
Yeah, because I always just out of habit, I type metalink.oracle.com and it always comes up.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. But yeah, you can unlink, let's see, Oracle Advanced Analytics.
Okay.
All right. OLAP.
Mm-hmm.
Partitioning.
Okay.
And real application testing in 12.2 and above.
Okay.
All right.
And that's it.
Yeah, and that's it.
Okay.
But you can, remove the binaries, which are unlink the binaries, and that just makes your attack surface a little smaller.
Right.
A lot of people, they don't think these things through, and they wind up putting out all the options because it's the easy way to go.
Right. It's the default.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I'll take the default install, and you might make some tuning in there on memory and such, but from there out, the typical DBA, from what I have seen, goes, this is all that's going to go in there. Because it is difficult, it's extra steps to take it out.
Right. And you're always scared. It's like, oh, what if I take it out? It's like the default. So what if I take it out and we need it? Or don't realize that people use that or something like that. Because if it's the default, they might have used that. The developers or the product you're using or whatever.
Yeah, and that's why you have testing.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, actually, there is a topic that I wanted to talk to you.
Yeah.
And yeah, because when I thought about our conversation, lately I ran into, especially in the cloud, and the cloud is the cloud has a lot of benefits. It has some downsides as well. We don't want to turn that to a cloud conversation, right? But one thing that I realized just lately is that people, like companies, when they move to the cloud, everything becomes DevOps, and they just don't have like specializing people anymore. So for example, I have a client, and we had a problem with one of the Linux servers, and they use AWS EC2. So, it's a proper Linux machine. And we had a problem with the Linux at the Linux level. It wasn't the AWS level. It wasn't the cloud related thing. And we just, I'm not a Linux person. I didn't know how to fix that. And the guy that I worked with, he's a DevOps person. So we tried to Google, we tried to figure this out. We couldn't. So it just said, you know what? Just in a few days, I'll just spin up a new server. We'll move the database, the disk with the database to the new server, and just throw this away. And and then it hit me that it seems like companies, when they are deep into the cloud, they don't have system admins anymore. Right. They don't have networking people anymore. Everything is DevOps. So I was wondering about security, because this is also a specialization that is important. And it seems like everything in DevOps today, you just check something, you configure some rules, you do some best practices based on I don't know what, but you don't have like all the security, all the system, all the networking, everything is the responsibility of DevOps. How does this affect security?
Well, there's the concept of DevSecOps.
Okay. Oh, right. I heard about that. Yeah. How common is that? Or is it? I heard about that only recently.
Well, it's just coming out pretty recently.
Okay.
And I'm still wrapping my head around DevSecOps, but for me, that's baking the security into the process. Because you have to have that security in the process. Otherwise, and it's been like this for as long as I've been in the business, security was an afterthought, and it's like, oh, we're done developing, we're in production, now let's start securing things.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the wrong way to think.
Right. But that's the entire computer industry was like that. Like if you look at even the Intel chip design is the same, and the TCP/IP is the same, all the protocols, all the hardware, everything is security is like, why would anyone do something that was not intended? And like 20 years ago, there's a way to get into the system like that, and people take advantage.
Well, yeah, and that's one of the reasons I like low code. The low code, again, it's reducing the attack surface. Don't quote me on this number. Security researchers generally consider for every 2,300 lines of code, could be 2,100, 2,500. There is a security bug.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so I'm one of those people, when I write code, when I put on my code hat, I'm sitting there and I'm minimizing code to get it to do exactly what it's designed to do.
Yeah.
And fortunately, Apex is good with low code.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, I'm going to try to find a DevSecOps expert to talk to, because I know enough about it that I understand it, but if I start talking about it, I'm probably going to be somewhere off in left field or right field somewhere. I'll get some things wrong because I'm still, digging into it. But we do need DevSecOps, and we need education on that. And when you're architecting a system, you have to architect it with the security in mind.
Right.
It would go into the cloud or on-prem or a hybrid, environment or a multi-cloud environment, you've got to think about that in all the components.
Right.
And one thing Oracle came out with, when they first came out with Database Vault,
Mm-hmm.
they had the privilege analysis built into it. Okay, and now if you're on 12 Enterprise Edition or above, that privilege analysis is licensed.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I have been trying to convince people to do is after you go to development and when you go into testing, run that privilege analysis during the testing process so you can dial back permissions as necessary, because we know as developers, it's like, I want to get it to work.
Yeah.
So you grant more permissions than absolutely necessary. And again, it's bringing them back into a least privileged concept. Oh, I know what that's about. I've got another screen up that just flashed on me, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go click and close. There we go. Now it's not an issue anymore. So yeah, the DevOps world is deliver fast, fail fast.
Right.
Fix. Deliver, fail, fix. Deliver, fail, fix. The DevSecOps process will hopefully reduce some of those fails. Because simply speaking, you introduce a bug into the system, you may not know about it.
Right.
Okay, you're going to get into penetration testing, a whole different world. So it's our job isn't easy.
Yeah. And we talk about the cloud another thing that I see on the cloud is that the way that the software is changing. It's like if in the past you had a release,
Mm-hmm.
so you worked for, 6 months, you got a new version, you tested it, you did regression tests, everything, and then you released it.
Mm-hmm.
In the cloud, it's like, okay, I developed a feature, let's put it tomorrow online,
Mm-hmm.
like production, and if something is wrong, we'll just fix it the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Things change so often and so quickly. I'm sure that introduces security bugs as well. It's like, I don't know if the amount of testing and regression and stuff like that is done at the same level, because in the past it's like manufacturing cars, for example. Okay, the car companies, they don't want to have recalls, right? Because it's super expensive. And the same if you release a software version and then you have a problem. But if it's like SaaS on the cloud, it's just, that's easy, we'll just fix it tomorrow. Right. Everything is so flexible and you can do that so quickly that I see, like, even OCI, you get into OCI and it can change from today to tomorrow. It can change the feature, it can change the GUI. Suddenly you go into a course, you read the documentation and the GUI just look differently, right? Because yesterday they decided to change it or whatever. So it probably introduces security issues as well. It's like the fact that you develop so quickly and the fact that everything can go to production at any given time. How much do people test it? Like, make sure that it's safe and secure. I don't know. And that's a development process that changed completely lately because of SaaS. Right?
Well, that's why DBA stands for don't bother asking.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah. It's like, can I? No.
No. And we have to work closely with the developers, especially in this DevSecOps world.
Yeah.
I guess I'm fortunate. I was a developer, then a DBA, then a designer, and I wear all hats comfortably.
Okay.
So, and you know, I kind of lean towards my early days, you know, back when my hair was black, you know, Oracle Forms 3.0. I'm dating myself.
Yeah.
Or IDMS, you know, I'm really dating myself. Working on a VAX, you know, I just, and these are the things that, you know, we have to work together. Yet at the same time, the developer needs to understand the database. The DBAs need to understand what the developers are doing.
Right.
But I still see a lot of developers who write code and they have no concept of what's happening in the database.
Right.
All right. They write code to return as much data to the workstation as possible and process it there.
Yeah.
But again, whenever the data moves through the pipeline, every place that it touches, I can attack.
Right.
So the more data,
and you know, the more data, yeah,
exactly. Yeah, the more data, the bigger the attack surface.
Right.
And so, you know, we're constantly, you know, I'm the thick database person. Let the database do what it was designed to do.
Yeah.
And give you the results that you need.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing more, nothing less.
Yeah.
So, you know, where does that, how do you balance that so that the developers understand that same concept?
Yeah, that's hard. And sometimes, you know, sometimes you go to companies as a consultant or as a contractor or whatever, and it seems like the people there are trying to work against you, you know, because
Mm-hmm.
I think, I don't know, but the psychology around it or behind it, I think, is that they are afraid that if you say something that they did wrong, maybe it will tell their bosses that they're not good at their job or something like that. And I always try to explain, you know what, I'm here to work with you. I know the database very well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know your app. I'm not, you know, I'm not a coder, even though I know how to, but I'm not a coder. I don't want to replace you. We just need to work together. And you see that projects that the developers worked really well with a DBA,
Mm-hmm.
you can achieve so much.
Oh,
but
yeah.
if they work against you, it's so hard.
Well, and yeah, you hit like one of those touch points with me, and it's like somebody being afraid of not knowing something,
Yeah.
not being good. Guess what? Right. I've been doing this for 40 years. There's a lot I don't know.
Of course. I think it's even more than that. It's like, as you know more, you know how much you don't know, and you can admit that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know,
that's for sure.
And I probably have at least one major screw up a year.
Yeah, I had that as well.
Still make mistakes. Some of them are big, some of them are small,
right?
Some of them are medium.
We all do mistakes.
Yeah, but and I think the trick is when you make a mistake, if the first thing you do is like, oh, you know, tell your boss, I screwed up.
Right. Admit it. Take ownership.
Admit it. Let's fix it and learn from it.
Right.
So, and I still go back. The biggest mistake I ever made, Oracle, I think it was 7.1 or 7.2. We're going way back.
Yeah.
This was a worldwide database accessed from all over the world.
Okay.
Okay. Senior DBA gave me a script to run. All right. He said, log in as a DBA and run it.
Mm-hmm.
So I logged in as sys and I ran it. And what it did was it disabled all the constraints on the
current schema.
on the schema that you were logged into, and then truncated all the tables.
Oh,
I did not realize you could truncate all of SysSys tables.
I didn't either.
I hope they fixed that.
Yeah, I remember just delete from Dual just messed up the database. That's it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I remember that.
Or if you want to really screw it up, insert a value into Dual.
Right. Even though they fixed it, I don't remember if it was like Oracle 9 or something like that. I remember that I tried that, and they added something to Dual that returns only one row, even if you insert more rows into Dual. Yeah, that's in the latest versions.
Yeah, okay. All right. I've got a 19 instance up and running. I'm going to test that.
Okay.
But it took down the whole world.
Of course.
And so I talked to the DBA who gave me the scripts to run, and he goes, no, you were supposed to grant DBA to the application schema owner to run the script. I'm like going,
Okay.
well,
Wait, what?
did you tell me that? Well, I thought you knew.
Yeah, I remember someone I worked with, and they executed a script, and the script was what did he wanted to do? I think it was remove some data from a table or something like that. But it was a large table, so the script, because of efficiency, he did insert as select to a new table, truncated the original table, and then move the data back, which is under downtime blackout, that's a very reasonable process to do.
Right.
But he didn't check for errors, and he didn't stop on errors. So what happened is that the first insert, the select, didn't have enough space in the table space, and it failed, and then the original table was truncated and all the data was gone. So we spent a few hours restoring the entire database from backup.
Yeah.
That was before flashback and stuff.
Oh, I love flashback.
Yeah, it's nice.
But I think we all make errors like that occasionally.
Yeah.
It gets into, when we're working with the developers, they have to feel secure that they can come to us and say, we need something. And we have to feel secure in them that when we give them what they need, that they won't abuse it.
Yeah.
Classic example. And this was an application I was working on last year. It was last year. The application schema was granted DBA.
That's always good.
That was a smart move.
Yeah, I've seen it so many times. It's like the default, right?
Yeah, and we try to figure out, well, what does the schema actually need? What privileges does it actually need? Because what had triggered it was we found the users had figured out how to go in with SQL Developer and do what they, it's like, oh, I learned this new command. It's never good.
Yeah.
And we wound up running the privilege capture to figure out what the users were really needing, and started dialing back the privileges. But you got to do it slowly. If you do it all of a sudden, you don't know what you're going to break. You take out a little bit, you take out a little bit, see if anybody's screaming. We call it a scream test.
Yeah, and it crashes. Yeah.
Yeah, take out a little bit. No one's screaming. Take out a little bit. Oops, someone screamed. You're running it through your testing. Awesome.
Yeah.
But the developers were like, we need to deliver this application. All right. We need to deliver it fast. And management is pushing on them. What's the fastest way to do it?
Right.
Instead of figuring out all the permissions the application needs, it's like, just grant it DBA.
Yeah.
And there was no reason for it.
Yeah.
And it was a long process to dial that back.
Yeah, it's so tough.
It's like,
and it's scary.
It is.
It is, yeah.
you do that with a production application, and you make the change, and you're like, please, please, please don't break. And you've run it in your test environment.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I had a conversation on Twitter with Kim.
With who?
Kim.
Okay.
And it started with him saying something about fixing a problem, and he didn't have access to production. So I responded that, there are problems to giving access to production to developers.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, it's like, yeah, but there are people that I trust, there are people that I don't trust, DBAs and developers, it doesn't matter.
Oh yeah.
And we need to provide the tools for developers to fix problems. Like some of the problems are production only, right? All kind of weird performance issues or data issues or something like that. And this is a huge security problem. First of all, I've seen cases where the production and the development, like system password, are the same.
Yeah,
which is a huge problem. And second of all, it's like another attack surface. And third of all, I think it's a state of mind as well, because the main differences between, as I see it, like the DBA, the more infra production DBA versus the developers, is that developers are used to working in development mode. DBAs are used to production mode.
Right.
And the level of cautious and the things that you allow yourself to run and stuff like that. And that's a major security issue, because if you have access to all environments, you can easily run the wrong command on the wrong, or the right command on the wrong environment. And it happened to someone I know, and they just dropped the schema of the production. And stuff like that. So
I did that once.
Oh, really? Yeah. I dropped tables.
I normally work in putty.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's my trick for that. If I'm in development, the background is green.
Yeah.
If I'm in test, the background is blue. If I am in production, the background is red.
Always red. Yeah.
It's like, stop. Do you really want to hit enter?
Right.
So, but the developers need that same mindset.
Yeah.
And a lot of their tools don't give them that, that very visual indicator of where you are.
Right.
Because, and I've worked as a developer, I might have, 4 different screens open, and you're just tabbing between them working. And it's like, oh, well, production is over here. Oops.
One thing I always do, I don't use the colors so much, I have to say. But one thing I always do is when I open a production window, I close all the rest. So I know this is production. And when I'm done with it, I'm closing the production window, and then I can open as many development as I want. But I won't have development and production at the same time, because it's so risky. Yeah, I remember when I was a junior DBA, it was, I don't know, almost 20 years ago, probably 18. And now I am revealing my age.
Oh, you're a youngster.
I'm a youngster, yeah. So I worked with this guy, and he was a sysadmin, and we wanted to reboot a server because, I don't know, there was something with this server, and he wanted to reboot it. And it was a development, I think. And he executed like hostname, the command hostname, like 3 times before he rebooted. And I said, come on, this is the correct server. Why are you typing like hostname so many times? He said, one time you reboot the wrong server and you do that.
And I think we've all probably done that at least once.
Yeah, definitely.
But
I completely deleted my server once. It was development server. So I completely rm-rf/. Yeah, I did that. And that was really funny, because it was a script that I was working on. And I didn't want to delete the entire server, obviously. it was RM minus RF $temp dir / temp file or something like that.
Mhm.
But I put that in a place in the code where these variables weren't populated yet.
Oh,
so I executed the script and then cannot RM / proc and said, okay, this is wrong.
something is wrong. Something is
Yeah.
wrong. But
And
the-
when I control C that and I did LS and it says command not found, I said, okay, I'm screwed.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, we have questions? I can see that as well.
Oh, yeah. A development insists on giving it to the app because 10 years ago. Yeah. Yeah. Granting DBAs to an application account in 21 is asking for security issues. Yeah.
Yeah, that's for
absolutely.
sure. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
But people still do that. It's like
They
they
do.
just, oh, we need create table and we need that. And let's just grant DBA, and they don't they don't realize with DBA they can do everything.
But that should be caught. And I almost understand it on a development instance. Okay. However, when it goes to the testing phase, you need to do a privilege analysis.
Mm-hmm.
Understanding the app was granted these permissions, you're going to take it away before it ever gets to production.
Yeah.
And then once you have your privileges dialed in, you migrate that down to development.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're constantly chasing least privilege.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Mike also wrote the development manager insisted in giving it to the app because 10 years ago when he was a DBA, he always did so. Oh, that's great.
I love it.
Yeah, it's for history reasons. We always had that. That's the best
crazy.
excuse. Yeah, the best reasoning. It was always like that.
I always did it like that. Yeah. You know, why not? Because I'm going to be politically incorrect. It's stupid. I was told I'm not supposed to say stupid. You know, okay. It's not intelligent.
Yeah, it's not smart.
But
it causes problems. Yeah.
Yeah, it causes problems. But as we've learned, I know as I have learned, I'm making constant adjustments daily in how I do things. You know, I take yesterday's mistakes and I go, you know, it's like, what adjustments do I have to make, you know, so I don't make that mistake again.
Right. I heard, who was that? I think it was Helly that we talked to. And I heard it a few times in other places as well. It's like, you can make as many mistakes as you like. It's perfectly fine to make mistakes as long as you don't make the same mistake twice.
Yeah.
Or 3 times, you know, we'll give you the benefit of the doubt. It's like, you make mistake, that's part of life. That's not a problem at all. But you learn from that mistake and you make sure you don't make it again.
Yeah.
Like the host name, running host name before you reboot the machine.
Oh, yeah, really.
For example.
Or that's like I got hit with a test phishing email.
Phishing email.
The company is constantly probing us. Okay.
Yeah.
And they hit it was a spear fish, but they sent it at the end of a day, at the end of a very long day, and you're working through the last of your emails. You're tired.
Yeah, you want to go home.
And I just want to clear out my emails and, you know, relax for a little bit. And it's like going click, click, click. Yeah, click. And I was expecting something along those same lines, an email along those same lines. And when I hit click, it goes, "You have been phished. This will be reported." And I'm like going, "Oh, no."
Yeah.
But that was a lesson I learned. You know, it's like, okay, even though I'm tired, I need to slow down and think,
right.
You know, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
when
my wife knows that very well. Like every time she gets an email, we got an email from the government of Canada or something, and she said, "Okay, I don't know. It seems legit. We are waiting for something like that, but you take care of that. Like check if this is okay." And yeah, these phishing emails, and they are getting good. I saw
yeah,
some for Costco, some for Netflix, for banks or something like that, and they do seem very legit.
they're
But
getting better
click,
and better.
yeah, click, and then enter your username and password, and that's it, game over.
Well, I typically now I check my personal emails in a virtual machine.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I'm anal.
Yeah.
So when I'm going to check emails, I have a VM up and running. And it's like, because I can shut down that VM. I
Right.
can isolate it.
Right. Yeah, so I don't go that far, but I don't click links on emails. If it's like something from the bank and it looks legit and I need to handle that, no problem. I'll go to the bank website, I'll log in like manually, and then I'll figure it out there. I don't click links so much on emails.
Well, yeah, I spent 14 years in financial crimes.
Mm-hmm.
And banking, back then, it was like banking was the big phishing problem. And I always tell people, if you get an email from your bank, don't click on the link, go and log on to your bank.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it works easily. And now I don't even type a password anymore with my phone. It's a thumbprint.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember my password.
Right. I use KeyPass. Yeah.
So,
yeah, and passwords are very tricky as well.
yeah, and passwords, how do I want to put this? You have to have a password that you can remember, but it has to be complex enough that it can't be guessed.
Right.
And then the general rule is never use the same password for multiple accounts.
Right.
For most people, that's difficult to accomplish unless you actually are methodical about it.
Right.
And like me, I've got a book that has the names of all my accounts, a numbering scheme on them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I have a passphrase that I use. And depending on the number, I actually put the passphrase through a formula I can calculate in my head.
Yeah.
All right. So everyone has a different password. Most people aren't that anal.
No. And I have to provide a tip for people that might listen, that if you need really, and it's a problem to remember so many passwords, and your way is actually really nice, but if you need like a very important password, all these random gibberish letters, you will never remember that. Okay. Mm-hmm. But if you just write a sentence,
mm-hmm.
first line of a song, few names combined, and just throw a slash there or a space or some dollar sign or something like that, and it's a full sentence, mm-hmm. like 4 or 5 words, it's quite impossible to brute force. Mm-hmm. It's really strong enough, and it's very memorizable.
It's very memorizable until my bank changed its front end.
Okay.
And my password was 28 characters long.
Yeah.
Okay. It was along the same lines. It was a sentence. It was actually a limerick.
Okay.
All right. And when they changed their front end, a couple of days later, I go to log in and it's like, password wrong. So I go through the process and I reset my password. And I'm trying to reset it to another limerick. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't work. So finally, I called the bank's help desk. And the guy goes, well, how long is your password?
Oh, they limited that?
16 characters.
Oh, that's so stupid. I don't understand why they limit it. It's like, sorry about saying stupid again on
Less than
this,
intelligent.
but it's less than intelligent. Like, why do you care? I
Mhm.
want 40 characters long password. If I remember that and it works, why do you care? Why limiting me to 16 unless you keep it, plain text, which is bad on its own. But yeah, I don't understand why they limit that. You know what the worst thing is? My wife, I needed to create an account for something. And because of me, she used long passwords. She used, I don't know, 20 characters or something like that. And it said, okay. But then it limited to like 16. So she could create it, but she couldn't log in until she realized that it's limited to 16. So she just wrote the first 16 and it worked. It's just so weird.
Yeah.
At least be consistent.
Yeah, it's interesting. And, we have all of these, 1,000,001 issues that, most people don't think of.
Yeah.
Let's take transparent data encryption. Okay. People encrypt a table space, move the table over to the table space, not realizing it's also unencrypted in their indexes.
Oh, right. Right.
And the other one, which I still gets me, is full database encryption. If you look in SysOc's table space, okay, all the statistics data is stored in SysOcs.
Right.
If you don't encrypt SysOcs, guess what?
Right. You have that. All the histograms and everything is there.
Yeah. Yeah. And your high-low values.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So we when I go and I speak on these things and I show them, it's like people go, oh, we got to do that too.
Yeah.
Or like redaction. There's nothing secure about redaction. You can, by exploiting a feature in the SQL language, I can extract redacted data.
Okay. How do you do that?
Oh, you don't want me to tell you that.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to tell you how to hack. I might send it to you privately, but I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to put out there how to hack.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah.
It's like 10 lines of PL SQL.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I'm just exploiting a feature in the SQL language. Because all hacking is exploiting features or flaws to get something to do what it was not intended to do or you did not think it would do.
Right.
All right. Well, the SQL specification says you should be able to do this. Therefore, you can extract redacted data.
Yeah.
I never, ever consider redaction security. Redaction is a privacy feature, but not a security feature.
Okay. Yeah, that's an interesting distinguish.
Yeah, I'll send you privately how it's done, but I don't like putting out on the world. Oh, this is how you crack this security feature. The thing is, I've talked to Oracle about it, and it comes down to this is a feature of the SQL language. We cannot, we cannot change the specification.
Right. Yeah.
And I get it.
Yeah.
I get it, but it's pretty simple. It's not fast, but it works.
Yeah, sometimes I hear about hacks and stuff like that. Like one of the things that I heard long time ago, it was a few things. First of all, listener dynamic registration, that you could register a database remotely. And it's just, the first time that I heard about that years ago, it was like, wow, this is genius. It's like you don't think about the possibility of people taking advantage or abusing the system. It's like, okay, the listener is here. He listens to database registration, and because of RAC, other instances could register to the same listener. And then you just create a database with the same SID on a different machine and register to a remote listener, and some of the connections go to you instead of the original database. And it's like, wow, this is genius. The person who thought about that, it's like, oh, nobody thought about doing just remote listener and the same SID, and it works. And the same people say, yeah, listener is if you don't know that, you like that. People say that listener, you have the approve list and deny list, right? You can exclude people from, or IP addresses or subnets from connecting through the listener. But then all databases today have shared servers running. So the shared server, that one listens on the network.
Right.
And you can connect straight to that and just bypass the listener. You don't care about the listener because it's out there listening publicly on specific port. You just need to find the port and you can connect to it with the port and the username, password, and it works, and you don't need the listener app. So you you just skipped the entire mechanism of the listener, including the deny list and approve list. So,
and it's interesting because we put a lot of security into the listener portion.
Yeah,
you may be using connection manager or other things, and you bypass it entirely.
Right.
These things do happen.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we live in interesting times.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, there'll be work for us for a long time to come.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and security is, it's just getting more and more complex, and and because environments get more complex, the securing them is getting more complex as well. And some bad guys realize, some brilliant bad guys, unfortunately, realize some crazy ways into the systems.
Well, it's a certain mindset. It's called divergent thinking. If you ever study the neuroscience of thinking, there's a thing called divergent thinking.
Okay.
It's basically all rules are off.
Yeah.
It's like we designed this system to be used this way. Yeah, well,
guess what?
Guess what? I'm not following your rule set.
Yeah.
So, listen, thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you. That was really fun.
All right. Great time. You have a great one. All right.
You too. Thanks.
Bye.